Okay, I'm very excited to share the results of this study that I did. I looked at about 2,500 LinkedIn profiles and I documented 262 LinkedIn profiles. And I really came out with a shocking finding. So you're going to learn some mistakes that I found out about LinkedIn profiles from a job seeker's perspective and exactly what to do so that you're standing out. So I want to give you a reason to watch the rest of this video. This is from my personal job search, my very difficult job search during the pandemic. And I had two CEOs, as you can see, approach me with jobs. So Bill was the CEO, and I had Matul, who was the CEO as well. They both reached out to me directly because of the techniques that I'm going to show you so that you can attract jobs by using LinkedIn strategies. Okay. For the study, I looked at 2,500 LinkedIn profiles and I spent 4 to 5 minutes per profile times 262 LinkedIn profiles. And I studied things about each one of those job seekers and how they were using LinkedIn. I'm going to tell you what not to do based on the results. I'm going to tell you exactly what to do. In fact, I'm going to give you an exact step by step plan that will help you from a job attracting standpoint. So stay tuned for that. This is the actual study. I had to blank it out, but I wanted to show you this is my Excel spreadsheet. And you can see down here 263 items down here with Kelly minus the title, that equals 262 that I hand documented. You can see there's a lot of different facts and things that I documented about each one. Because of that, I have these findings that I can show you on this little video today. So first of all, what not to do. So, what I want you to do is I want you to put yourself in the position in your mind of a recruiter or of a hiring manager. Okay. Now, what's the feeling you get from this? Are you attracted to this candidate? Right. This is somebody who's open to work. So they've done a good job. They've got a good picture on here. But look at this. I'm desperate. That was tough to post. If you click this, it gets even more negative. So are you attracted to this candidate? What's your gut tell you right there? Negative or positive? Okay. All right. What about this one? It's got the profile filled out, got the picture, got the open to work banners and the basics. But then look at this post. Nearly 2 months after being laid off, this job market is in shambles. There's really a lot of negativity in here. He kind of ends neutral to positive. There's no value being shared here. And it's a mostly negative LinkedIn post, correct? Now, what's your gut say? Are you attracted to this candidate, pretending you're a recruiter or you're a hiring manager? Are you attracted to this person or slightly repelled by this negativity? Okay. Just think about that. And I'm going to show you the positive side of this in just a second. Here's a couple more though. This one says, I refuse to beg. I'm too proud for that. I mean, he starts off super groveling, right? I refuse to beg and I'm too proud of that. In fact, that's actually bad grammar too. Something you should really watch for on your post. But anyway, it's a really short post, but it's pretty negative and it doesn't provide any value to you, the reader. It literally wastes your time, right? You're wasting someone's feed, you're wasting their time. Okay. So is that in your mind, just in your gut, is that a positive job seeker, or maybe you might have a negative impression of them? And then the last one, this individual, good picture actually, open to work banner, but he talks about being laid off and a lot of negativity. There's nothing in here. The only reason you might help him is out of mercy, but you're not attracted to him, right? Because of the negativity. Now, what I want to tell you is because I looked at so many LinkedIn profiles for the study, I saw this too much. So think about how your posting can either attract or not attract people during your job search. Okay. Because it's a little known thing using posting in your job search. Okay. All right. So what to do? Now we talked about what not to do. We're going to share with you what to do. And I'm going to give you some examples of that. So this guy, Dan, now I didn't anonymize him because I want to give him recognition. Look at what Dan does here. So got the good photo, got the banner, got his profile filled out. What's he doing? He's posting about his industry. He's posting some expertise, some information about his industry. Isn't that wonderful? He does a little LinkedIn poll. He kind of unpacks the results of that, right? Super positive. So even though this guy is in need of a job, he is not talking about that. He's talking about his expertise, isn't he? He's talking about some research that he did. So think about when you're posting on LinkedIn to attract people and think about the vibe that you're getting. Just looking at this, aren't you getting more of a positive vibe? Especially if you contrast that with the four that I just showed you, I think you'll see that the vibe that we're getting of the confidence and the value add that we're getting from Dan certainly makes him more hireable than the people that we just saw. Okay. So think about posting in your job category, think about posting your expertise in the type of job that you're going for. And then it's a great way to not only stay top of mind as a job seeker, they'll see what a great candidate you are, how knowledgeable and how positive. Okay. And I had more from Dan, but I'm just going to show two. But this is another example of a positive post. So what Dan is doing right now is another one of the five types of content that I'm going to suggest that you post on LinkedIn during your job search, which is helping other job seekers. So what Dan is doing here is he's linking to an article that talks about ways to improve your LinkedIn profile during your job search. And here he is on a job search, and yet he's helping others, providing insights, providing practical tips for job seekers. And so that's what I want you to do is I want you to pick up on your own psychology that you're feeling about Dan versus those four that were desperate and that were complaining, right? Let's use that knowledge of how our own psychology is reacting so that we can benefit from this positive Dan approach rather than having that negativity where it's not going to attract people, but it's going to possibly push people away. All right. So I wanted to share with you an example from my own job search that I was laid off during the pandemic, like so many. And I immediately got aggressive on LinkedIn. I started posting. Michelle noticed that we connected and she started noticing that I was not only engaging in her posts, but then I started posting interesting content myself, much like you saw from Dan. Honestly, the same types of things that you saw from Dan. And what happened is she asked me if she could do a featured post about me to help her audience understand how to use LinkedIn for your job search. And I told her yes. And what she said was that it was a little lesson on networking. And she talked about posting and everything that I was doing. And she said that the reason why she was able to refer a job to me was because I had stayed top of mind with positive posting. Okay. And so, what I want you to know from this, and I'm going to give you some extremely practical examples, but regular posting will boost your credibility and it will keep you top of mind when people are looking for candidates. Okay. Now, I'm going to give you an exact step by step plan. So, this is exactly what I did during my 2020 and into 2021 a little bit job search, exactly the types of content that I posted. It's the same stuff that you're seeing from Dan. And it's the exact stuff you're not seeing from those negative ones. So here we go with the top five pieces of content that you want to post during your job search that are guaranteed to attract attention and will attract jobs as well. Okay. Here you go. There's actually five post ideas, which is really nice because you can actually just have a personal schedule in your calendar because it's 5 business days per week. I do recommend that you post at least Monday through Friday, and there's bonus points if you post more than that. Again, we're trying to keep ourselves out there top of mind in our job search. Okay, the very first one, though, is interesting here. You remember how Dan was posting about his top 8 tips for LinkedIn profile during a job search? Remember that? Well, here you can see as well, I'm talking about some strategies for job seekers. So when you post about something that'll help other job seekers, it reminds people that you're on a job search, but then it also shows that you're smart. It shows that you're helpful, you're positive. And so that's one type of post is post job seeker help. Number two is you can post very short inspirational posts as well. This one literally just says outwork, out prepare, outlast, out help, out care. And it's obviously it's about a job search, but it's really short, right? Use your hashtags and do all that stuff. That's really important too. But very short posts can be so out of your five that you post per week, one of them can be really short. But you're showing up in their feed and you're staying top of mind. That's really important. Okay. So that's your second kind of content. Your third kind of content is a repost. So I reposted something that Ian here posted that he got from Tony Robbins. And it was a very positive video, really helpful during the pandemic. And so I just reposted it as well. So you can post interesting content from others on LinkedIn or from interesting off LinkedIn resources and websites and things of that nature. So you don't have to invent every single piece of content that you post. It's actually really good for you to be a content curator and for you to provide to your feed and to the community interesting, inspirational, thoughtful content that you found elsewhere. Okay. So it's your third kind of content. So you can stay top of mind and you can stay on their feet so they remember you. Just like my very first slide, I showed you 2 CEOs who reach out to me. This is why. This type of LinkedIn strategy is why. Imagine having 2 CEOs of companies reach out to you during your job search and Michelle, and there was more too, but that's 3 examples. Okay. Next. The fourth type of content for you to post on a weekly basis to LinkedIn is something inspirational with a picture. Okay. So I really want you to experiment using pictures. You'll find they do get a pretty good amount of traction on LinkedIn, and the picture says 1,000 words. I mean, this picture says everything that it really needs to just with us. So do an inspirational short post with a picture. And then the last one, do some videos. But then also, if you look at what I'm talking about here, two sales engagement techniques I've used. Okay. So what I'm doing there is I'm talking about my industry. Remember how Dan talked about product marketing and did a survey and all the facts and statistics? Okay. So Dan was talking about his industry. This video here is me talking about my industry, which was sales. Okay. So what I'm showing you with that fifth and final example is talk about your industry. That could have been a written form, didn't have to be video. But also, I would like to encourage you to experiment with some video, and you'll be glad that you did. So that's 5 practical strategies to help you avoid those negative posts on LinkedIn that are not going to do you any good. They're going to do you harm. And then these 5 positive types of content are going to keep you top of mind. They're going to showcase your ideas and your work experience, your positivity, and that kind of thing. And they're also going to show your hustle. When people see you're hustling and they're showing up in the feed, that shows that you're working hard. Okay. So that really does come through. So I want to encourage you to avoid the mistakes of negative posting. Also avoid the really big mistake of not posting at all during your job search, right? You need to carve out the time to post every day. This could be a 20-minute thing. And when you apply for a job, people will come check out your profile. They'll see your posts. So make sure some of your better posts, you actually feature them. So they're right there at the top, so they can be seen and they can see your very best work. So with that, I wanted to share with you a training that's free that will really help accelerate your job search called my Fast Start. It's 4 key strategies that I really unpack in depth. I will link that below, but it's easy to remember. It's jobseeker.pro/fast. Please remember to like and subscribe. That really does make a big difference. And if you have any questions in the comments, I will absolutely get back to every single person. So definitely feel free to ask a question or make a comment, especially if it helped you. Okay. Thanks so much and good luck on your job search.